Hello, welcome to Captain Stitches. I'm Jean down here, and this is a new little series that I have got working on that I'm going to let you follow along with me. And I am remaking my Over the River and Through the Hills, which is a pattern by Crab Apple Hill Designs. Meg Hawkey is the designer. Sorry, Whip is in the background as usual. And I recently got another set of her patterns that is Girlfriend's Getaway. And she uses her crayon coloring, tinting, shading method on that, which really intrigued me. And I decided that I would like to apply that same technique to my Over the River and Through the Woods. So the embroidery sections that I already have done, this one and this one, I'm just going to add some things to this one. This one I will be redoing. And I have this one to do yet. So that is what I'm going to be using today to show you my part one of doing this process. And if you are wanting to find any of Crab Apple Hill Designs patterns, you are going to have to do a search on Etsy or something like that because Meg Hawkey has retired and she did have a sale and sell all of the patterns that she had on hand. So you will have to find those in a search some other way, just so you know are aware of that. But so I have started just a little bit of the technique down here. And I'm going to show you one that I found that did some of the coloring on this, and just look what a difference that makes. It just really makes that stand out and it gives it more depth and just really beautiful. So hoping to end up with something similar to that. But you have to do the coloring, tinting, and shading first before you do the embroidery. In any of the areas that you are going to do the coloring technique on, you need to put white crayon down first, a light layer of white crayon. This is dark because this is actually going to be snow on the roof of the barn here. And I can show you some of the rest of this panel. It is rather big. We have the house and the fence there as well. And then we have the little outhouse back there. And let me see if we can even get this far on there. And then we have more trees and everything over here. So try not to make you dizzy, bringing it back, but it is a rather large section of applique. Need to get the rest of that out of my way and get back over here in this section where you'll be able to see what I am doing. But so the tools that you are going to need are a big box of crayons. She recommends the 64, and you are going to probably want to get a package of just plain white crayons because it does use quite a bit of white. But I have chosen the colors that I'm going to be using, and you are always going to start with the lighter color and go to the darker color. And these are going to be my browns, and these are going to be my greens that are for the evergreen trees, pine trees, whatever they are. But so those are the colors that I will be using. But before we can put that down, which this, like I said, has been done darker because that is going to be the snow on there, which I can see looking in the camera there that this needs a little bit more right in there. It's kind of showing showing through, but so that portion I have done. Now what I am doing is I am just lightly putting the white on the trees over here because I am going to be doing the tinting and shading process on these. So I'm just, ooh, it gets mighty thin up there. So I'm just putting coloring, staying within the lines, like like a good colorer. We always strived for when we were kids to stay inside the lines. Most of us, anyway. I'm sure there are some that were rebellious and didn't stay within the lines, but on this, we're going to want to stay within the lines as much as we can. It gets when we get down to the ends there, it gets pretty dark. But there you can see the one that I've done and the one that I haven't done. And she doesn't say exactly why it is that we are putting the white down first, but I have a pretty good idea that it has to do with making a base for the tinting and the shading. So, but I'm going to go ahead and get some of this done also very quickly. And this part doesn't take too long, but it does take a lot of white crayon. So that is why that is, and I do have a box of just 12 of the white crayon you can order on Amazon so that you have extra of the white. And I don't think I got that one there. Okay. I think I have the majority of that now. I'm trying to figure out how the tree goes here. I need to look closer at that section. Yeah, that's open. Okay. All righty. So I pretty much have that all, I do believe. I don't see any that I've missed when I look up there, except over here where it got out of your view. I didn't quite finish that. Okay. So now I'm going to set my white crayon aside, and I am going to start with my lighter brown. And I'm going to think about, yeah, I'm going to come on this edge. The light's going to be on this edge. And I'm not going to do it real heavy, just enough that we've got the color on there. But it will be exciting to see how this turns out in the end. I say I'm keeping it light. Don't want it dark. We just want it to have that hint of color on it. And on yours, you're not seeing it as much. It's not showing up there yet, but this is just the lighter tint. And then I'll be shading with the darker. So yeah, it looks really light in the camera shot. It's not quite that light. Which the color that I'm using is, let me see, tumbleweed for the lighter brown. But this doesn't take doesn't really take as long as I expected that it would. Okay, come over to this one. Just heard the mailman's truck. So if Whip barks, I'm sorry. You have to excuse him. Just getting some of this in there. Okay. And we're going to finish off this section here. And then this one. I'm going to make sure I have all of that part done. Okay. So I've got my first layer of brown on there. And remember we used our white. Whoops. We didn't get up here. Just that little section right there. Okay, so now I'm going to take my darker brown and I am going to do some shading on here so it gives us more depth and texture on the tree. Which I'm using some of those sections on there. However, they will also get embroidered, so that will darken them up. So I think yeah, it's showing up there in the camera. I'm not going over all of it. I want the tips up there a little darker. Bottom here a little darker than the rest. No, the sun doesn't get in the V part of the tree as much as the rest, so we're going to darken that part up. Those come together. Here. So it's just like being a kid all over again. Coloring. Just have to think about what we're doing here a little bit more, though. Okay, look at that. Trying to find where that right there section looks like it didn't get any color on it, even though it does. All right, which you are not seeing that color as dark as it actually is on my end. Just keep that in mind. It is a true brown in here that is just kind of showing like a gray brown in the photo. It's much more brown. Darker part, the outside of the tree, around the bottom, we want it a little darker. Okay, so that portion is done, and when it is all done, which I will come back and show that, but you will any mistakes that you make if you put color where you don't want the color or go something and decide changed, if you get the Loctite fun tack. It's kind of tacky. You use it, remember that you can use it to put on the back of things that you hang on the wall temporarily and it comes off. You can use that, roll a little bit up in a ball, and you can press it up and down on your where you put the color to remove any mistakes that you make. And then if you need to, you will have to put white down again before you put any other color back on. But that is, and right here, which I can use the darker of my browns, this fence, I'm going to add just a little bit too, but I didn't do the white, so I'm not going to put any more there right now. This section up here, if we can get to where that is on this fence, I have already done the white. So I'm going to color that in quickly, and you see where you always want to have the white down first before you go in with your other color. But yeah, we've got that. So that fence is going to show up much better along there also. But there you have that. So those of you that do embroidery work, I hope that maybe you will give this a try to add another dimension to your embroidery. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to do as long as I remember to always put the white down first. So yeah, this is going to be the barn is going to be colored in with the brown, the darker brown, and the house is going to be the lighter brown. Can't see the house there I was talking about, but and then we do have the evergreen trees here that will have the green on them. So until next time, thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed seeing the beginning of this technique and that you will also give it a try. If you have any questions, please go ahead, leave them in the comments, and I will get back to you. So thank you, everyone. Have a great day, and until next time, remember, I can keep you in stitches. Bye-bye, everyone.